Hey, what's up, viewer? Welcome back to the NEBULOUS live development creation series. This is Day18, Hour 1, and in the previous video I completed refactoring my player data to be split into separate components for a slightly better organizational approach. And I'm pretty sure that it helps with certain efficiency with referencing. So instead of referencing the entire player data component when I only need a small part of it, now all I have to do is reference the small part, basically. Alright, so if I jump into the play mode here, I'm trying to remember what exactly was I doing last time. I was messing around with something minor. And I know that I also needed... Man, sorry about this compile. Alright, so I had a slight panning going on, and I had some zoom. And I have the ability to enter a star system. And one problem is that there's way too many of the same star. So I need to change that. And also apparently I've got it backwards for... Let's see, maximum nebula star density. Nebula force star spawn increment. I guess I can make that way smaller. And it still spawned way too many. So I've got something backwards in my spawning value. Okay, but that's not going to work either, I don't think. Okay, once again, it's still spawning way too many. I almost feel like I have this part backwards. Let me double check here. I think it was like spawn nebula. No, it wasn't that. It was... Wait, no, wait. It wasn't just called nebula spawn, was it? So I have a spawn nebula and nebula spawning data. Alright, so I'm forgetting off the top of my head where I put the... Oh, nebula stars, okay. I keep getting that one confused. Alright, so I'm going to swap this backwards because... I don't think the randomness is correct here. So now the nebula shouldn't have a bazillion stars in them. And in this particular instance, the nebula has 0 stars. So now I've completely broken it. That's bizarre. It didn't even do the force star spawn accurately. So maybe this was just broken in the first place. Okay, so I'm gonna jack this up back up to like 45 or something. And now I should get at least 3 stars per nebula. But no, I suppose not. Guess I'm screwing things up pretty hard here somehow. Okay, so that's weird. So it was working like this. But it was backwards. So I'm just going to like say 1 minus here. And I should flip, that way it's more intuitive. The nebula should only have about 1 to 5% of their options as stars. So we flip this around. Okay, so now we're getting, once again, we're getting like a bazillion stars in the system. Man, this is annoying. So I am not sure why my math is just wrong for some reason. So it can only be between like, I mean, it's only got a, it has a very, very small number. Okay, so the idea that I just got was I need to guard the range differently. It still shouldn't matter. I mean, it's guaranteed to be gigantic, but then this didn't work, though. Doing it the other way. It should only be like 3% or something. Okay, so the only thing I'm really getting is if okay, so maybe I need to flip this to plus. Alright, so now it's okay. So I think it's a little better now. So now it's got like 3 bizarrely placed stars. So that's a little bizarre. And the algorithm forced them at the beginning of the algorithm, so I bet you they're at the bottom as well of this nebula. They're at like the bottom front of it, basically. Kind of. So that's lame. That that's working, but it's lame because it's forcing them to be close to each other, and that's essentially why this number needs to be like 0.05 to fix that. That way they don't spawn so close together. And those are all pretty similar, so if we zoom in on this one, once again it like spits out. That one's really on the edge too. I thought I had fixed that. It's not supposed to spawn right there. Okay, so I'm messing up. I'm messing up something that used to be working. So okay, so nebula edge buffer was where I was setting it up differently. So I do need edge buffer to at least be, what, 1? And it'll start at 1, and it will take 1 off of the max resolution, so it will force the stars more centralized into the nebula. And now that I've done that, it's not working at all. And I had that problem at a different point, and the reason for that is because the Y resolution can't be 2, because if it's 2, then it starts at 1, it ends at 1, and doesn't loop. So I have to make this 3. And I guess I'll just make this 5. And this didn't work. It only had enough time to get 1 star in to the mix. A lonely red star. So it's not foolproof, but I'd say it's working pretty good, honestly, for now. And it looks like these stars are still not super entirely random, but they're random enough, I suppose. Alright, and alright, so I guess I got that resituated a little better. And I can tweak some other values while I'm at it. The other thing I could do is just, after the entire loop, feasibly what I can do is simply I could just, after the loop, check the count and randomly pick some positions or something. So I could do that better later. Alright, so now that I've got that tweaked a little bit, one issue I need to sort out is the fact that I do not want to actually go into each of these shaders to barely tweak stuff. So instead my idea is to use star data to add 8 colors to this, and then also probably add like 8 dimensions for each type of star. and essentially have one star prefab and one shader. And then on instantiation, assign values based off of the star data. And that would leave it with one star prefab and one star shader. Alright, so basically to get that to work, we've got to turn this to 8. And the star colors are like, keep it pretty simple, red, blue. And what was the intensity of the first one? I didn't have an intent, it's just at 6 or something, so 6. And then I guess it's red giant, blue giant, so once again it's just red, blue. And then, so red super, red giant, blue giant, and then it's like orange, yellow, red, white, I'm pretty sure. So orange, which is technically 1 and 0.5. It's the intensity of 6. And then we have the yellow star, which is just, I think it's just 1, 0. Oh, it's red, so it's 1, 1, intensity of 6. Then we're looking at, once again, another red star for red dwarf. And then the very last star is just a white star. Alright, so we also have to jump into star data, and we're going to have to add another array. So this is public vector 3. And in fact, it could probably just be public float array star skills. This will also need 8 values, and I had these set up to a decent amount already, so like the supergiant. For instance, is at 36. Blue supergiant's at 29. And all these values may shift eventually. Red giant, 21. And there might even be a better way to actually change these. Orange stars at 10.6. Yellow stars at 6. Red star is at 3. Put it at 4. And a white dwarf is at 1.6, so I got 2. No, so white dwarf is an 18th, or yeah, it's an 1/18th of a red supergiant, basically. All right. So then the next step is that the star prefab starts at 1. It has all the same stuff as this. So it needs a change color on hover option. And essentially now I have to go back into the star spawner. And actually there's one other thing I should probably do. And that is make let me see here real quick. I'm trying to remember, is this an enum? Okay, so it's just public enum. So I'm going to come in here and make a star types. and it's not going to actually be a class, it's just going to be an enum. And then in here, you just have to type red supergiant, blue supergiant, red giant, blue giant, orange, yellow, red, white, dwarf. Alright, and then from this enum we can change this up a little bit, like we did in the other enumerator, which was, hold on. Yeah, I thought I was doing that somewhere around here. Essentially, the enumerator will just match the definition of a... It kind of makes the collections work together, because you can, as long as they're aligned properly, you just say galaxy, or you just say star type dot like red supergiant, and it goes to the, or it matches the arrays, the collection arrays correctly. So I've got to come into this code, and I've got to okay, so the positions are fine. The random star choice number is still fine. Okay, so this is going to be different. This is instead going to, whoops, instantiate the star prefab, not a group of star prefabs. And it's under nebula spawning data. So for the moment, we are going to comment this out and just simply add a public game object star prefab. And from here, we are going to instantiate nebula spawning data.star prefab like this. Okay, so this is interesting. So let's see here. We have a global star types. Let's see, enum.length. I'm not sure if I can actually do something like this. I'm going to have to Google it. Okay, so Unity 3D, C#, enum, oh, length of enum type. Alright, so I do have to add the enum type, system enum or whatever. Oh, it's just as, not just as using system. So so enum.get types. Oh, okay, now it's not even. Okay, so get names. So this turns to string array, which is not exactly what I need. Okay, so we're just gonna go up here and add a new value. So we're just gonna say int star types count, basically, equals. and we can just say enum.get values of star types type of star types, and then we just get the length of it. So then down here we simply can say, and if I'm not mistaken, the integer range is in fact exclusive of the last value, so I can just put in star types count, oops, put in star types count here, and it will, it's not getting an issue with random because system random and Unity engine.random are conflicting. So does that mean I can say, can I do this, or? I guess that's not cool. So I made, oh, did that not work either? That breaks the ambiguity, but then what if I yank this off then? I guess what I should really do is just come up here and say system.enum.getValues. And if I do that, I can yank the system directive, and that won't break anything. So that's a little lame that I had to do that, but okay. So now we once again have a random choice, but the new instantiation is just the base prefab at the position. Transform set parent, but don't change world position. I'm having the mesh render set the values, let's set these values on the shader. Which this might, I might be able to yank these two lines out and just have the default shader actually default these, so I'll have to consider that. Otherwise we're looking at, okay, so then the only other thing we have to do then is we'll have to come to new star dot transform dot scale, so local scale times equals star data dot star scales at random star choice, and that is going to match the color and the size of the star upon instantiation, and I won't have to have 8 separate prefabs with basically the exact same everything. Alright, so to test whether or not this is going to work, so we're going to drop star prefab into this option. We have 8 color choices and 8 size differences. So then, oh, and then I have to make sure that the star lit shader is the correct one, which it's almost set up properly, but let's basically just grab all of this, right click copy just to make sure, and then we're going to drop all of this into the starlit shader basically. And one other thing I might need to do is change the base color of the star, because it's emitting into the white range, but it's not giving the correct edge color basically. So even though I come in here and drop these two like this, it is going to be, it might not be the effect I'm going for basically, because when the red supergiant shows up, it is actually red. but it has the white emission core, so I think maybe just doing emission will fix that. So I have to go to starlit here, save it. I have to check the variables it's got here. Which looks like it's missing a bunch of them. So let's see. So is hovered, is active selection color, hovered color, base color. Alright, so this gets replaced with is hovered. That's still correct. And then now we just have, over here we just have these colors set up. Hovered color. Base color. And then active selection color. One sec. Excuse me, my bad. Alright, so now that these are set up, we've got to drag base color in here, and it would have been cool if it replaced it. Oh well. Or maybe, isn't there a replace? I guess not, whatever. Alright, so we're going to unplug this, and then we have to plug base color into a few things. So this gets base color, this gets base color, and then the Fresnels get, and maybe this is why it's not working, because I'm replacing the base color with the new color. So maybe that's why it's not working correctly. And in this instance, it would be the base color to, yeah, hovered color and an active selection color. More or less. Alright, so that is now the starlit shader. So I'm gonna yank red supergiant. And then it's too bad I guess I could plug in colors here. Okay, so let's just real quick here, color. Let's just assume that I'm running my red color at intensity of 6, and that's the base color. So real quick, the base color here, the base color here, or wait, yeah, base color here, and then the base color is here and here also. And it's not giving hovered colors or not, so I'm gonna have to duplicate the colors again. So it's the color, and this is just to test the shader. But we're basically going to this color and going to this color. So it's going from red to black so maybe I'm doing this wrong or something, I'm not sure. So this is red. The whole thing is just red. Or the whole thing is stuck at white. Basically, so I'm screwing up something here. And it's still outputting as red. What if I change this to something else? Yeah, I'm not getting a I'm not getting the effect I'm looking for. And it was just working, kind of, with a different approach. Okay, so this doesn't provide a color anyway, so like... maybe I need another replace node here that will... like replace base color or the 1 minus Fresnel from base color to yellow. How about that? No, that didn't work either. It's not black though. Okay, so I guess what I'm... okay, so I think I'm screwing this up a little bit because... if it looks something like this, it'll change the tinting, but... what I'm not seeing is the tinting changing at the end product. And I suppose that makes sense because this is not exactly set correctly. So if I toggle my own booleans, let's see how that looks. So if it is hovered, okay, but then it turns into white. So that's really strange. So I'm gonna have to have like another replace color basically. And it looks like that's not working either. Oh. Okay. So if it's hovered, it doesn't matter, but if it's active selection, it does. And if it's not active selection, it... okay, so the highlight's correct. I need to change one other thing though, and that's that I needed to convert the center white to active color, basically. I think. Let's give this another shot here. So in here, replace white. Oh, that's only pure white anyway. To basically base color. Okay, so that's also not exactly correct. Okay, so what I really need to do somehow is make this Fresnel effect red. Or I would have to do this. Uh-oh. Or I'd have to do the replace color. Oops, spelled it wrong. Like, I would have to tweak the range or something, so if this is the N value, I would be going from white to base color. But I guess the range needs to go up. But that also, like, screws up the Fresnel effect. The Fresnel effect is no longer... The Fresnel effect is no longer taking effect, basically. So somehow I've got to convert the Fresnel edge to... And what if I go like this or something? Okay, not quite. What if I go like this? Still not quite. Okay, so that's not correct either. So what if we try a replace color earlier in this sequence here? And the idea is to go from white to black, but from yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know what happens if I 1 minus it then. Okay, so that's like kind of cool looking, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for here. Okay, so all I'm trying to do is take the Fresnel to highlight the edge, which it's working correctly here, it's just the center is the wrong color. So how am I supposed to... I mean, otherwise it's basically working. It's just not taking in base color correctly. If I flip this to white, it's going to replace the whole thing. Okay, so that's kind of interesting how that works. So if I drag the straight in as the input, we will get... Okay, it's still screwed up though. So we get the highlight, but we still don't have the center color correct. What if we go from black to yellow? From white to yellow. Okay, it's still not what I'm trying to do here. Sorry about this. Shading is still brain-breaking at certain instances. Alright, so I know I'm replacing I'm just trying to replace the edge of the star. Not the entire star. Maybe I can say like a gray color. What does that do? Man, it's making me want to like try an entirely different solution for this. So somehow the input 1 minus needs to be red. And 1 minus is going to invert any colors I plug directly into it. So like is there like a, let me see if there's a replace range or something. There's a remap. I'm just not sure how to do this. To be completely honest, I'm like so close, but I don't know what I'm missing. Like I'm capturing the edge transformation correctly, but I'm screwing up the core in the process. And all I'm trying to do is replace the outer edge. So like somehow the 1 minus has to be red. So like let's try this. Let's try another replace color here. So I'm replacing this essentially from white to base color. And then after that, I'm replacing this with white to the edge color. It's kind of weird how it has that range of 1 going on, but I guess basically something like this. But essentially what this has done is like replaced, it's basically replaced the Fresnel effect, more or less. I mean, so I don't even know if the Fresnel effect is helping in this instance anyways. Because when it comes down to it, like the sphere is just emitting light anyway. So I'm actually just going to try removing the Fresnel effect completely. But, okay, I guess it's... Alright, fine. So here we have basically most of the solution here. I've got to do a double color replace, which I'm not sure if that's the correct way to do that, but it's working at this point. I have to do the same thing up here. I have to do another replace color with okay, so why is this? Oh, it goes to base color here. Okay, but why is the... Alright, so it looks something like this. And then it very simply just does another replacement here to say from white to this blue color and the entire range. Except for it's a little weird how it's asking for fuzziness like that. And I guess because the Fresnel effect creates an edge that is black, so there isn't any blackness to be replaced, basically. The other problem is like a blue star will screw this up. But this is basically how it's supposed to work. Okay, so if it's hovered, it'll change to blue, and if it's selected, it'll get changed to yellow whether or not it's hovered. Okay, so now we need to reconnect all of these properly. So let's see, base color goes here, 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 and here. And then after this, we've got hovered color goes here, and we've got active selection color goes here. And then we need to plug the bools back in, so is hovered controls this one, is active selection controls both of these, and then we are just going to have to see how this looks. So as long as I didn't script anything, the colors will set. And I might have to tweak this a little bit. Although I guess, let's see, what kind of colors don't we have yet? So I guess we can be cheeky and say that violet is one we don't have yet. Let's bring up the intensity though. Set this to 1. Okay, so 1, 1 is that? Okay. And set it to 6. Although we don't really need the edge color emitting, technically. So if we just set it to 1, 1 as selection, and then the hover highlight can be green. We haven't used any green color. And it's just raw green for a hover. Which I might change that in the long run to like give a different type of feedback, but that's where it's at right now. So okay, let's see if this breaks or not. Whoa, their scales are way off. However, their colors are changed. But their scales are, I janked the scales somehow. So I think part of that might be because oh, hold on. Let's see, if I like this first, does it fix it? So the star prefab is it's got 111, that's correct. I swapped the order of the parenting to scale, so maybe it will scale then parent. Shouldn't matter either way though. Once again, we are looking at way too small. They're way too small. What if I drop it out of the out of being parented here? Now it's correct. Alright, so I'm screwing up parenting somehow again. Alright, well, that's about it for this video. I'm sorry that this isn't so I apologize for that. I've also run into this issue where I don't know why the